Awesome. Cool. Well, welcome everyone. Should we get started? I'm going to take that silence as a yes. Let's go. Awesome. I'm glad that you're here. Let's have myself and Steve introduce ourselves first. We can get into the material. My name is Ashley Harwood. I'm the Director of Agent Growth for the 3 Boston offices, Boston Metro West, which is Framingham, and Chestnut Hill. And I have been with the company and been in real estate since 2013, so 9 years. And the first 6 as a solo agent and the last 3 as a coach and trainer. So I'm excited to be here with you. Thank you to the region for letting me run this session with Steve. And Steve, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Steve DeAngelis. I'm the Market Center Technical Trainer for KW Coastal, which is located in Rhode Island. I've been licensed for just about 11 years. I've been the MCTT for the past year and a half. And actually before Command, when I first joined Keller Williams, that's when they were first rolling out eEdge. And let me tell you, I was kind of surprised that there were people in my office using typewriters and storyboards. So I kind of jumped into the tech advising role very early on.
Awesome. I remember eEdge. It seemed very exciting at the time, and now looking back, it just seems like a dinosaur. Compared to Command anyway.
Yeah.
So has everyone, the first section here is going through your success system, sharing any wins from the calls you've been making. Have you been checking in with your accountability partner? How is all that piece going? You can either put it in the chat or unmute and talk it out. Any challenges, any wins? Yes, April.
Okay. Good morning. Hi, everybody. I'm from MC 183. I'm really new. I'm still kind of in the middle of the onboarding process, but I started doing some calls yesterday, and I know that they have different time frames, like, the 9 to noon and between like 4 and 6, maybe 7. I found that when I was doing my calls between the 4 and 6, I got a lot of voicemails because I think some people were still at work or maybe driving home from work. And what is the protocol? Because basically the messages that I left that I would reach out to them, early next week. Is that okay? Because I don't want to be the pushy agent, but I want to make sure I stay on top of my calls without being kind of a pain in the butt to people.
Right. Yeah, that's always a fine line. So I would say if you don't hear back from someone, you can certainly try them again. And you'll kind of feel them out. Actually, let me ask, are these people, are they more cold calls, or are these people you already know?
These are people I know. I'm starting with basically my whole network. I did get one person that I spoke to yesterday, and I'm kind of hoping that might lead to something, but I did about 7 yesterday. So 6 out of the 7, I got voicemails.
Well, good for you for doing the 7. That is awesome, because that's the activity, right? So we want to celebrate that. If it's people you know, then you'll be able to feel out person to person how much communication is appropriate.
Yeah.
And just be careful not to cross that line of being annoying about it.
Right. That I don't want to do that.
Right. You can try different mediums. Like if somebody doesn't answer the phone, maybe you shoot them a text. Maybe they'll respond to that. Yeah.
Because that's what I was thinking. Maybe like on Monday after the weekend, I'll hit them up, or maybe like Sunday afternoon and just say I'm reaching out, touching base. Because a few of the people that I called, I haven't spoken to in probably over a year. So it's not close contacts, but it's people that I still have in my network. So I figured it couldn't hurt.
Right. Absolutely.
Okay.
Good time.
Thank you.
Reach out. You're welcome. All right, Mawish.
My biggest challenge is that I don't have a family here. I have limited friends, and I don't know a lot of people. So most of the people that have families here and all this stuff, so I think they have better chance to meet people. And like when you talk to strangers, it's a little bit weird. At
Yeah.
first, so this is my biggest challenge right now. I just joined a couple of weeks ago, so I'm trying to make connections. I'm trying to make friends, more friends, and know a lot of people. Yeah.
Yeah. That is a very real challenge and one that a lot of people face. Probably a lot of people on this call are facing that same challenge. So I'm glad that you're here for this session in particular, because we are going to talk through some ideas of how to go meet new people.
I watched this first session on YouTube because I couldn't attend it. So I got points a little bit about how to make friends and how to generate leads and how to know more people. Just don't talk about real estate. Just make friends first.
My friends, yeah.
And then they know what are you doing. They will reach out to you. Just yeah, that's what I learned right now.
Good. Yeah, starting with friendships and making real connections. We'll talk about that later, how this is a very much relationship business. So making real connections with people, asking how you can help them in their life, in their business, if they run a business. And then eventually, real estate will naturally come up. There are a few strategies we can employ to make that happen. One of the best ones, this is not in the material, but I'm just going to throw this out there. One of my favorite scripts of all time, when you meet a new person and you're getting to know them, is asking them what they do for work. Such an easy conversation starter. And eventually they will ask you the same question. Then you have permission to talk about real estate, and it's not annoying. So just one little nugget there for you guys. But thank you for bringing that up, because that's a very, I don't want to say it's a common challenge, but it's something a lot of people struggle with. We will cover that today. Melanie says everything is a challenge right now. Trying to make connections through social media. I had a post he made to announce my new real estate role. Okay, cool. Social media is a great tool as well, both for meeting new people and staying in touch, staying top of mind with your existing sphere. It's more of a long game though. It can take time to, unless you're running ads, it can take time to see results. So you're just sticking with it, that consistency, that follow-up. April, did you have something else to add, or you still have the little hand?
Oh,
thing?
no, I have just a little comment to kind of piggyback on what you said about talking to people about what they do for work. I just came from the Scripps Jedi. That was from 8:30 to 9. I kind of skipped out a few minutes early because I wanted to make sure I was on time for this, but they were talking about, it was a question themed class today about, the kind of questions to ask. And one of the big ones is get into a conversation with people about what they do for work, and they were giving all kinds of examples of, like what made you go into this realm, have you ever thought, what is it that you love about your job? So when you're making the new friends and you start talking about what they do for work, then you can also get into the, like you had said, you can ask them, if I run into one of your clients or somebody looking to do home renovations, let me have a couple of your business cards. I can help do referrals for that person. And it'll build that business relationship, because it might go both ways when they find somebody who's maybe looking to sell a house or whatnot. But it was all question themed, and I just wanted to throw that in there because that's a big one, because people will always talk about what they do.
Absolutely, they will. Thank you.
Yeah, for those of you that are older agents, you've probably heard this. And for those of you that are new agents and are trying to figure out why Keller Williams has so many acronyms, here's one more. FORD: family, occupation, recreation, dreams. Don't talk about politics. Don't talk about sex. Don't talk about religion. Those cause problems. Family, occupation, recreation, dreams. Safe subjects. People love to talk about that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that will help you get to know people on a personal level, so you can intertwine a friendship with a business relationship and a potential referral and client relationship.
So when you talk about recreation, are you talking about like a vacation or like an entertainment?
hold on, I got to admit two more people. Recreation, what do you like to do? You know, if you find out they have family, what do you love to do with your children?
Okay.
You know, what do you do to relieve stress?
All right, gotcha.
Yeah, I can really see anything that you guys are finding common ground on. Creates a trust and a comfort level when two people have pretty much anything in common that they can bond over. So asking enough questions to get to know what those things are, and maybe you have something in common with that person, and then boom, now you can talk about that for a while and build that rapport.
And if it's not something that you have in common, put a note about that in their consumer record in command. Because when you want to keep communication going on with them, but you don't want to be throwing up real estate every time you talk to them. So if you have a client and you know that they have kids and the kids play soccer and you see that there's something soccer oriented going on, hey, thought you should know about this. There's a soccer tournament at such and such a field this weekend, or there's a car show if they're car buffs. It helps to set you up as someone to go to for more information.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's an important point also what you said about keeping notes in command or in your CRM. Keeping notes on these things so that you can keep track, because eventually your databases will be so big that you won't be able to keep all this in your brain.
Yeah. You can hold on to 5. When you get to 6, things start to blur.
Yeah. All right, so let's go over what we are covering today. So this is the first session of the next section of Ignite, where we're going to get into lead gen. And today's agenda, we are going to cover all of these topics. So by the end of today, you'll be able to generate business from the people you know and who know you, identify your sphere of influence and calculate the potential income opportunity, categorize your sphere and expand your reach, and apply best practices of lead gen. That sound good? Okay, so hopefully everyone has in mind sort of what you're hoping to get out of this session, and hopefully you do. All right. So we're going to start with you as the lead generator. The reason we talk about lead gen so much, you guys, is that that's our #1 job in this business. It's not selling houses, it's finding enough people to help. That's the biggest challenge, that's the main focus. And when you focus on that and do the right activities, then you'll have enough business for whatever your goals are. And at some point, the goal is to have enough business where you can be more picky with your clients. And you can design the business you want and the life you want. So it all starts with finding enough leads. Do I volunteer to read this quote and tell us what it means to you?
My fear of failure was greater than my fear of lead generating, meaning that he was willing to put himself out there and make those new conversations and start those new relations, because he'd rather do that instead of not having any production at all.
Yeah. Very good, thank you. So Gary Keller, as you guys know, is the founder of our company, and he knows how important lead gen is. So, it is scary. This is an acknowledgement that it is scary to put yourself out there. There's a fear of rejection, there's a fear of failure, there's a fear of success, but the ultimate fear of failure is not having any business. And so that can drive you to do these activities that might be slightly uncomfortable sometimes. Yes, Steve.
I'll keep this quick, I promise. But one of the things that I've tried to do with the word fear is make it interchangeable with the word motivation, because I've stopped myself from doing things out of fear in the past. And I don't call it a regret, but I feel at this state in the game, you're always guaranteed to have no no reaction and no progress if you don't at least try. It's kind of like you're guaranteed not to win the lottery if you don't buy that one ticket. So I was afraid to take the course. I was afraid to take this exam. And I said, you know what? I have absolutely nothing to lose, maybe other than a little money, with the initial investment. And I put the time in. I spent hours of reading and studying and taking the online tests and whatnot. And when I took the exam, I passed only half of it. And I was like, oh my God, I had a little bit of failure. So I took 2 more weeks, did a little more studying, and passed it with no problem. So I find that fear is your friend because it's telling you that something is worth going after. So you're guaranteed not to have it or achieve it if you don't at least try. And it's okay if you don't get it the first time. Just keep trying. And I promise I won't keep talking.
No, you're good. I appreciate your insight. Thank you. David, what you got?
Many years ago, when I was designing computers, they used to trot out a techie to a potential sale. And the VP of sales took me in after the meeting. He said, you'd be a great salesman. And I said, no, I wouldn't. And he said, why? And I said, because I'd only need one rejection for me to go out to my car, sit there and cry for an hour. I think it's once you get past that initial fear and you do it repetitively, that I think is the key, is to do it repetitively and continuously. That fear kind of fades to the background as you realize people really do want to hear if they think that you know what you're talking about.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. I want to say Nate, but it's probably not pronounced Nate.
No, it's pronounced Nate. I was going to see if I could try to go in and put the accent mark over my E.
It's
So
there.
is it there? I'm
It's
sorry,
there.
I'm on my iPhone, so I can't
I
tell.
just don't know how to say things.
Okay, yeah. So I've been working with my mentor, and he's told us about the D2, how do you call it? It's like a worksheet. And like last week or this week, he wanted us to work on like the first 2 letters, which are like A and W. Is it okay to like skip around? Because it looks like the A and W, I don't have it up in front of me, but it looked like the A and W was for like the beginning of the year. Like, can you, because I don't have like a lot of W's.
No,
And
the idea behind that is you want to have a personal conversation with your contacts at least 4 times a year. And if you
Right.
follow that pattern, it's every 13 weeks you start over again. So all that is doing, it's just an easy way of divvying up the work.
okay.
If you only have 5 people in your database, of course, you don't need to follow that pattern. But
Okay.
once you start getting a number of people in there, it's an easy way to divide up the work.
All right. Yeah. Because like I said, we're gonna do A and W.
Yep.
And like I said, I don't have like a lot of W's, and he was like, you don't want to cherry pick either, because I have like 1 W, which is like, or 2, and 1 was like a manager from my last job, and I'm like, I really like, just because I just left that job, I don't feel comfortable like calling them right now. Like maybe next year or the next time that it comes up, I'll feel a little bit, because time has passed, where it's been so recent where I left, I don't feel comfortable. So that's why I was wondering, can I like skip around to like maybe another week of letters, or is it more important to kind of stay in line with the weeks? You know what I mean?
Did you leave that job on good terms?
I mean, I was a good employee, but I was just at that point where
Well, no, what I mean is, like, if you call him today, is he going to say, damn it, why did you, you screwed me? Is he pissed? Or, good managers always want their employees to do the best they can.
yeah.
My best advice, bite the bullet.
Yeah.
Call them up and just say, hey, just want you to know I landed on my feet. I'm starting a new real estate career. I'm really excited about it. If
Yeah, I'm not even ready for that conversation. So W's will just have to come back. Like I know, like I said, it's just too soon to like go back and be like, okay, you know what I mean? Like they knew I was leaving for my real estate. And I did give it 2 weeks notice, but I ended up saying, okay, enough is enough and I'm glad I did say enough is enough because if I didn't leave when I did, I would be missing so many trainings, so many ignites, like I would not have even, I wouldn't even be here in this classroom right now. You know what I mean? Because I would still be there.
Then start with
So-
the B's and do the A and W's in 13
At a later
weeks.
time. Okay, that's what I was just trying to see if it was important to kind of stay in line.
No, it's just it's important to keep a pattern going so that you do at the end of 13 weeks you have contacted everybody.
Okay, all right,
Because then you got to start over again.
right. Thank you.
Awesome. I agree. It's a system for keeping yourself organized. So as long as if you're making changes to that system, as long as you know what that is and it's consistent, then that's okay. Cool. Good conversations already. I'm loving this. So we've covered these in another Ignite session, and we are at number 1 here. The 6 core competencies of a business. Number 1 is to find the business, lead generate, capture, and convert to appointments. Here are some more myths around lead generating, fears and myths. I think lead gen is difficult. I don't have time. I don't know what to say. I'm afraid of making mistakes. Is anyone thinking these things? Is anyone feeling like this? Totally, totally normal. Has anyone overcome any of these and would like to share how you overcame some of these fears and myths? Kayla.
I kind of had a similar situation like with one of my old managers from my job that I had 5 years ago, where I felt like, oh, it's going to be so weird if I reach out to them, they're going to why would I be contacting them, and sort of just even getting out of my comfort zone was so hard. And once I did it, they were like, oh my God, I was just thinking about you. So nice to hear from you. It wasn't even a big deal. And I feel like I kind of just built up in my mind that it was going to be such a big thing. And it actually wasn't. I mean, it's been 5 years, so I hope that it wasn't going to be a big thing, but it was just nice to see when you do go out of your comfort zone, it's not a bad thing.
Yeah. That's a great story. Thank you for sharing. A lot of times that will happen. I would say 90% of the time, maybe 95% of the time, when you take that leap and you do something that's outside your comfort zone in terms of lead gen, you're scared to make the call and reach out to this person. You don't know what they're going to say. 95% of the time, they're going to be totally cool and happy and willing to help you. And, all right, we got a lot of hands raised. Steve, let's go over to you.
We have a question from Michelle in the chat. She says, I don't know what to say in a cold call. For everybody, Keller Williams has scripts, and you'll be getting scripts in these classes with some very simple little things to talk about. So yes, we will give you scripts on what to say in a cold call.
Awesome. I would say it also depends who you're cold calling, because that will dictate what you say to them. So we can talk more about that. If we have time today, we will cover that. If we don't, then please reach out to me and we can talk one-on-one. April.
Oh, hi. So to piggyback on what I was saying when I made cold calls yesterday, one of the calls that I made was to an old coworker. And it's been actually more than 2 years since I've spoken to her. And that was the job I had when I got laid off from that job right when the pandemic kind of bubbled up that March. And I was really nervous to call her because I know she's still with the company that I got laid off from, but she was always really nice. And I bit the bullet. I called her, and she's the one who actually answered. And she has a friend that was looking at one point. So she's going to check in with them for me and maybe connect me with them. And then she's hopefully I think she might be getting married soon. So she said I might actually be looking at some point in the future as well. So it's kind of like that fear-based thing. Just, it was out of my comfort zone. I was nervous to talk to her because the last time I did, it was right before I got laid off. And I was, nobody likes to get laid off from anywhere. But it was actually a blessing in disguise because it kind of brought me here. So it's nice to just, like I said, just jump in, dive into that deep end because you will float. You'll swim. It's like riding a bike. And she was really happy to hear from me. And hopefully I have a new contact with, maybe a whole new network with some of her friends. And you never know what can happen, but it's, that's kind of what I have to say.
Awesome. I love that. Especially you never know what will happen. You never know who the people you're talking to, who they know, who they're friends with. So
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you. Mewish. Am I saying that right?
Yes.
Um,
I have a question. Like, if you know beforehand that someone is selling or buying, you can like talk to them about that. But if you talk to random people, how to talk to them? How to start a conversation with them? And can you go on random people's houses and talk, and what to do? I don't know.
So a lot of different options. Going to people's houses is called door knocking. It is a thing.
Yeah.
I would recommend doing that with a more of a purpose. So a good way that you can do that is if you know of a listing that had multiple offers, maybe someone in your office sold a house in a neighborhood and it had multiple offers, you can go and door knock that neighborhood and say, hey, your neighbor's house just sold. They had multiple buyers make offers on it, and only one of them got the house. So there are all these other buyers who want to be in this neighborhood. Have you been thinking about selling? Or do you know any of the other neighbors who are thinking about selling? So that makes it a little bit easier because you have more of a concrete reason for talking to them. You can also door knock for a buyer. So if you have a buyer and they're having a hard time finding something they like, send them off to identify some neighborhoods that they like, and then you can go and say, hey, I have a buyer who wants to be in here and I need to find them something. So you have a couple options with that piece of it. Cool. Ariel.
So to get back to, you had like asked if anybody had experiences with the things on the PowerPoint. And so this is my second Ignite course. I took it back in January. I suggest that like, if this is your first one, take it every time it's offered if you feel like you're a little off track, because it definitely like recalibrates me to get like back in the group of what I need to do when it comes to real estate. But so when I first started, I wouldn't necessarily say that I don't have time to lead generate, but I felt like I didn't have the energy to lead generate. And I feel like something that's like really important is that when time blocking, because like, I don't know if we've talked about that in Ignite yet, but like time blocking is something I learned from Ignite. And it's like, basically like your schedule is free. So like you have to put in the effort to make sure that you actually have a schedule and that you adhere to your own schedule. And I feel like I struggled because like they laid it out for me, like time blocking, like what you should kind of do at what time. And I feel like you should really adjust to like what requires the most energy from you and to like put that in the time in which you have the most energy. And like it will give you the illusion that you have more time to lead generate, because I feel like we all have time to do it. It's just that like if you put it as the last thing you do, if you're a morning person and you put it in the last block of your time blocking, you have thus used all of your energy for your other activities. And now you're like exhausted mentally and you don't necessarily want to go about lead generation. And that kind of is one of your most important things when it comes to this. I spend a lot of my time lead generating in like the world. I'm like one of those weirdos that will talk to you in the Starbucks line, like, and just vibe on the fact that we both just like got a $7 latte that was literally worth 50 cents. So like I do a lot of that type of lead generation. Like I go to the gym and like if you're on the treadmill next to me, like God bless you because I'm going to talk to you. And but when it comes to like online lead generation or something more like structured, I try to let it literally be the thing I do as soon as I make my coffee if I'm home, because if not, I will give up. Like, I won't have the energy and I'll be like, oh, it's okay, I'll lead gen tomorrow. And like that will continue. And then like you find yourself where I was 2 weeks ago, which is like, am I even an agent at this point? Because I haven't done anything in weeks. So I just like, that was just like a little tip from my experiences thus far as an agent, as far as like finding time to lead gen.
I love everything you said so much. You have no idea. If anyone on
Thank
this
you.
call has heard any of my other classes that I teach, I talk about energy management all the time. It is so important. And most people, you're right, the majority of people have the most energy and willpower. Gary and Jay talk about that in the one thing, the most amount of willpower in the beginning of the day. So putting lead gen, a structured lead gen like calls, in your calendar at the beginning of the day is really, really important. And that's why when we do have these conversations around time blocking, the traditional calendar starts with lead gen. And there's a reason for that. So thank you for bringing up the energy piece, because that's a really big factor. All right, Nate. Do you have something else to add? The little hand signal thing, you guys, when you're done, if you don't have anything else, you can like take that hand signal off.
I see it says lower hand. Sorry. Okay.
That's okay. You're good. I just didn't want to miss something. Cindy.
Hi, so I just, I chose this career because the main reason is I was gonna, we were going to buy our own house, but other reason is I actually love doing sales. I did actually a telemarketing call for like 2 years. So you do just go straight cold calling. But my question here is, like, how do you say your name? The one that speak before. Sorry. Is that Ashley? Is that how you say your name?
Yes.
I felt the same way like her, but I just don't know how to use my energy. Maybe she was better than me and how I used to use the energy, because I have no problem starting a conversation with the strangers. But I maybe what I don't know is what is it that's gonna lead them to what I'm trying to to reach, such as kind of telling them I'm a real estate, all those stuff. But what are like the best advice when you start a conversation like last night? It was no, last week we actually went to the casino. We always go to the casino every like few months, and then they kind of know me there, and then they ask me what I do, like, oh, what do you do now? So of course I'm gonna straight up telling them that I do real estate. And when they ask a lot about real estate, I kind of feel overwhelmed because I'm not really like have that much knowledge. So my question is, what do you do when you like, they ask you a question, but you kind of like, oh, I'm not sure. Is it okay to say that? Or like, is there other way to kind of, look like you kind of know what you're doing, but you're still learning at the same time?
Yeah, that's a good question. And it does come up a lot. Even people who have been in the business for 10 years, we'll still get questions that we don't know. So it's absolutely fine to say, you know what, I'm not sure, and I don't want to tell you the wrong thing. Let me go find out and I'll get back to you. And then if you're in a casino environment, that's a great excuse to collect their contact info so that you can get back to them. You're not going to like
Right,
run
that's
to
right.
the hotel room and get on the computer right then. You're like, no, I'll follow up with you, Monday. And what's your email? What's your phone number? So it's absolutely okay to be honest and say that you don't know something, or you can phrase it as, I'm not entirely sure, or I think I know the answer, but let me double check, because I don't want to tell you the wrong thing. And that gives you time to go and find out.
That's actually a good trick. I didn't think about that. I mean, if you're in a recreation place, you don't have your computer,
right?
Asking their contact will be right move. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, in any situation, if you're not sure the answer, be safe. I'm not sure that, let me check and I'll get back to you, because if you give them the wrong information, kiss them goodbye.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually that makes you seem more professional and more knowledgeable than just making something up you know, to try to seem knowledgeable. It's the opposite of what you think. Ariel, did you have something else to add? What you got?
Yeah, Cindy, you asked for like the first half of your question, you were like, when you're out and you're talking to people that are strangers, you have no problem talking to them, but you're not exactly sure how to like let them know that you're a realtor, how to get to that point of the conversation. It's like for me, not for everybody, but it's kind of easy for me to steer the conversation if I take control of the conversation, meaning I'm the one who's like asking the majority of the questions. So what I'll tend to do is eventually get to like, what's your name? And then I'll give them my name, and then I'll be like, oh, what do you do? Like, because that's a very common question in our society for some reason. Everybody wants to know what everybody does. And then they'll tell me what they do. And then I'll tell them what I do. And then like, usually from that point, they'll be like, oh my God, my brother-in-law is going to sell his house, or we were just thinking about buying. One of my first clients I got in a Facebook group for moms, who was like, asking if anybody knew of any realtors, which was like a really direct way. But then my newest client I got because my bank has a coffee shop in it. I have Capital One, and in Assembly, Capital One has Pete's Coffee in it. And I basically talk so much about real estate that the people that work at the coffee shop know that I'm an agent. And so I was picking up my coffee, and there was a woman next to me waiting for her coffee, and the associate was like, oh, weren't you just looking for an agent? She's an agent. She was just talking about how she needs to buy a house. And that caused like a connection. So I was like, oh, hi, my name's Ariel. Like, what's your name? And had a conversation. And I was like, yeah, I'm an agent with Keller Williams. And I was like, are you looking to buy? And like that launched a conversation. But even if they hadn't made the connection, I would have just tried to take control of the conversation and made it easier for them by just giving them questions that they could either answer yes or no to, or that took very little thought. And like eventually would have gotten to a place where I'm like, oh, my name's this, your name's this, what do you do? This is what I do. And then if they needed any of my services or thought that they might need any of my services, they usually feel as though they have the brilliant idea to ask me for my contact information, when in reality, I kind of brought them there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. That takes skills actually, because I'm the type of person, I will tell you everything, anything. I mean, I can get in the flow to the conversation, but I'm not the type of person that will actually just like explain it to me. You kind of make them ask instead of you telling them. So that need to know more, that it's going to be like, you know, it's better to control that part of conversation that I need to learn, that skills that really I need to hone down.
I didn't even think about it that way. You're so smart. Sorry. It's just how I act. So I didn't think that like this was like, could be an acquired skill. I appreciate
It is actually a really good skill to take the conversation. I mean, it's a really good sales skill. I mean, I've been doing sales for like, I don't know, 10 years, but that's something that I never overcome. Thank you, Ariel. Ariel, did I say your name?
Yeah, you
Actually,
said it right. Perfect. Thank you.
You guys are awesome. I love this. Such a good conversation. All right, let's move on a little bit here to your sphere. Sphere of income, sphere of influence, income, opportunity. This is an exercise. If everyone has a pen and paper, let's do this, run through this exercise together. Because although when we talk about lead gen, it's usually, at least in the past, I don't want to say usually, in the past, it has somewhat been synonymous with cold calling, but lead gen is all encompassing. It is talking to people about real estate, offering your services, asking for referrals. It's all of those things, not just cold calling. And for newer agents, the highest likelihood of somebody wanting to work with you and sending you referrals are probably people you already know, which is why your sphere is so important. They already like you, they want to work with you. If they know that you're newer in the business, they want to help you. So that's why we're starting with the sphere, and then we'll teach you how to go out and add people to that sphere, go meet new people. So let's start with this. Everyone grab your phone and look at how many contacts you have in your phone. And Steve, you might know better than I do. Is there an easy way to get that number in your phone?
You go to contacts and scroll down, I think.
Yeah, scroll down to the very bottom and it will tell you what your total number is.
Perfect.
5, 5,
So write
5,
down
6.
that number. And then we are going to multiply that number by 0.081. And the reason we're using that number is because it comes from two things. NAR stats say that people on average move every 8 years. And we're going to assume that, I think it's 10%, no, 64.8% of your database is a homeowner on average, we're going to assume. And so those two figures working with each other gets us to this 0.081 multiplier. So do that math real quick. And then the potential referrals in your database, let's assume that 10% of your database will send you a referral. This is all within a year also. And that will happen if you keep in touch with your people enough. So the DTD2 system that we mentioned, I'm going to just explain that real quickly for anyone who's here who doesn't know what that is. It's a system for keeping track of your quarterly calls to your sphere so that you don't miss anyone and you're not calling one person once a year and another person 18 times a year. So that's what that system is. It stands for Do the Database To. Where did my camera just go? That was weird. Okay. So keeping in touch with your people, that can be a variety of ways. Emails, texts, phone calls, client parties, whatever. Assuming you keep in touch with them enough so that you stay top of mind, 10% we can assume will send you a referral over the course of a year. So take number A and take 10% of that. Now add B and C together. So in this example, we're adding 20 plus 25 gets you to a potential of 45 transactions in a year from just 250 people. And if you don't know your average commission for your office or for your own business, I would say for New England, it's probably safe to use 5,000. In Greater Boston, it's probably closer to 10. So you can choose a number there for your average commission and then multiply that together. 45 times 5,000. That would be your income opportunity for your gross commission income. Is anyone stuck on how to do this? And if not, would anyone like to share what their potential income is? Just from the people you already have in your phone.
Wow, surprise, 110,000.
110,000, okay. That's great. That's a good income from people you already know.
Not bad while you're on retirement.
What's that?
I said, that's not a bad income when you're on retirement.
Not at all. Not at all.
Buys a few years.
Melanie says 175,000.
So how do you find your average commission again? Is that per office?
It varies office to office, yeah.
Okay.
What part
Yeah,
of the state or not the country, but New England are you in? Where are you located?
Seacoast?
Yeah, I don't know offhand what the average commission would be.
That's
Use 6,000.
6,000. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you. All right, we're good on this. So the purpose of this exercise is to see that as scary as the term lead gen can be, you're already halfway there. You already have a lot of opportunity with people you already know. So now the game is keeping in touch with those people, providing value to them, and going out and meeting new people to add them to your sphere so they can be part of that 250. Make sense?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So what's the last step that we do to find the income opportunity?
The last step is multiply the average commission by D, which is the total potential number of transactions.
Okay, cool.
Awesome. So, question in the chat, do you know what Chapel Hill, North Carolina average commission? I have absolutely no idea, sorry. If you want to know an average, you can always just call the office and ask to speak to their MCA and they can tell you. So your sphere is your database. You guys have, if you've been in other Ignite sessions, you will have already been doing your success system activities, which is reaching out to the people in your sphere, your database. Hopefully also getting them in command, getting them on smart plans. Again, these are all just systems for keeping in touch with people. Yes, Mawish.
Can you please repeat what, how to calculate the income opportunity after the average commission?
Oh, yes. Sorry, let me go back.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so the next page, I'll stay on this slide for another minute. You're
Yeah, thank you.
welcome. All right, any ahas from this first section of this morning? If not, we will move on to the next section. All right, cool. Our lead generation model. Let me see how we're doing on time. Okay. All right, so this is what it looks like. I know this looks a little confusing, but you start at the top here. You're finding your leads, and that can happen through either prospecting or marketing. And I believe the next slide will take us through the difference between prospecting and marketing. Essentially, you're finding people to help, you're finding people to talk to. Now, once you capture a lead, that means that you guys have a relationship where they want to interact with you. They're going to respond to you, you guys have a relationship. They go into your database and they start as a lead, which is the relationship forming section. And then once it's established, they move into being called a contact. And that's where you strengthen existing relationships, kind of just rolling through this flow chart here. Then the third step is you're cultivating those contacts for conversion. And this can happen interactively, needs-based offerings. And then at the bottom here, some of those people will turn into clients, a new client, and then eventually a repeat client, and they'll also send you referrals. Some people will never be a client because they are going to be in their house forever, and they are still worth building a relationship with because they can send you referrals. Does this all make sense? Let me see in the chat here if there's any questions on this stuff. Oh, Rachel has a really good aha. I know a lot of people and could be making a whole lot of money. Yes. All right, so this is the model. Prospecting and marketing are lead generation activities that deliver leads to your business. The difference between prospecting and marketing. At the top here is marketing. This is basically putting stuff out there to get other people to call you. This is a billboard. This is a sign. This is a flyer in a newspaper. It's a super old reference, but it still happens occasionally. These cost more money. They're passive and they provide long-term results. Versus prospecting, which is you reaching out to people. You're doing the one who's more proactive. You're calling them, you're texting them. It costs more time than money. It's more proactive and it provides quicker results. So in the beginning part of your career, it's better to have a prospecting-based business. And you can sprinkle on some marketing things here and there. Maybe you know, I have one of my agents is doing an apple picking event. So she's spending a little money on that. But it's still face-to-face with the clients, with the sphere. And so that's sort of a combination of prospecting and marketing. She'll have some swag printed up that she'll give out to people, but it is more proactive than simply a billboard on the highway. No. Jason, hi.
Hi, Ashley. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm gonna make it. So I keep hitting that button by accident. Sorry for raising my hand. But no, tell me about that apple picking thing. That's pretty interesting. What'd you do?
So I don't have all the details of what hers is specifically, but I will tell you what I've done apple picking events in the past for my clients. So I can tell you what I did. It's pretty simple. You reach out to a farm and ask them what their cost is, if they have any minimums or maximums for how many people they can accommodate. Once you have a sense of the cost, you know, you'll typically purchase a certain amount of apples that they can go pick. They'll have some sort of quantity, like a peck or whatever. They have their own weird like measuring systems for apples. So everyone
if you hear of anyone in your girlfriend's family that's looking to buy a home, buy a townhouse, buy an apartment, or even if they have a home that's.
I'm gonna mute him. Okay, sorry, John, I just muted you. So you set it all up, you get your costs, you can partner with a vendor if you have somebody who you work with pretty often and you've sent them business in the past. It would be appropriate to ask them to partner with you and split the cost. They can be there and have FaceTime with the clients as well. Usually lenders like to do this because they don't always get to meet the clients face to face. So if you guys have closed a few deals together, it's kind of nice to be like, hey, come and, you know, meet these clients you helped last year, or whatever. Then you compile your guest list. If you don't have a lot of past clients, that's okay. Client parties are not just for clients. They're for referral partners. They're for your sphere. They're for anyone who would potentially work with you or send you business. Most people on this call are a year or less in the business. So I would say if you're going to have a client party, just invite pretty much everyone you know. And that's it. It's not a super complicated thing. It's basically just how much does it cost? Who am I inviting? Pick a date and time, and then get the invitations out. And by the way, we've had some questions already about who do I contact and what do I say? If you're calling your sphere to invite them to an event like this, that's one of the best reasons to call. That's the easiest call in the world. Hey, come apple picking. I'm paying for it. It'll be fun. Such a good reason to call people. No one's going to get mad at you for that.
That's awesome, Ashley. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so we'll touch on this a little bit. Relationship management. All of this business is relationships. It is. It's not us trying to sell people anything. It's not us trying to convince anyone to do anything. It's, I care about my people. I want them to know that I can help them and that I'm here for them. So the biggest challenge is keeping in touch enough so they don't forget. Because we assume that we tell our neighbor one time that we're in the business and they're going to remember. They're not going to remember. So staying in touch with them is really, really key so that they remember that you can help them if they have a need. So database is a container that holds the information of your leads and your contacts. Most of us are using Command. If you're using something else, that is totally fine. You'll just want to make sure that you have people organized in a way that is easy for you to reach out to them. So in Command, we have tags for that. You can tag people and categorize them. I met these people at an open house. These are my neighbors. These are my friends. These are people from my former career. And that way you can communicate them in different ways should you choose to. A smart database / data bank, that is a Brooke Silva term, data bank, allows you to have planned and meaningful communication with your database. So the difference there is you have a system for communicating with people regularly. So that could look like a once a month email that's part of a smart plan. That can look like you're doing the database too, where you reach out to the different letters every 13 weeks. Any questions on this piece? Okay. Cool. So again, really quickly, the difference between leads and contacts. Leads are people who have earned the right to have at least a one-way conversation with you. This would be like you do an open house and you meet a bunch of people. Those people are leads. The ones who do not already have agents, by the way. Those people are leads. You reach out to them, you follow up. If they never respond to you, they're a lead. If they respond to you and they want to interact, then they become a contact. If they agree to sit down with you and have a buyer consult, then they're a contact. So contacts are people you've had a two-way conversation with, and you're building that value-based relationship. Relationships must be attended to, cared for, and cultivated. We're adding value. Lots of different ways to communicate with your people as well. Phone calls, emails, texts, face-to-face. You can get them set up with your app. Handwritten notes is a really powerful one because most people don't receive a lot of mail. So if you send somebody a handwritten note, they're going to remember it much longer than an email or a text message. I actually have right behind my laptop here, I have a whole row of notes and cards that I've received from people. The other communication that's not on here that I will add is any sort of messenger, Instagram DM, Facebook Messenger, Snapchat Messenger, whatever. TikTok, I'm sure there's a messaging app or feature in TikTok, I don't really know. LinkedIn, any social media, as long as they're responding back to you, that is still a contact. If you're having a conversation, the medium is less important than them engaging with you. In my opinion, there are people who disagree with me, but that's okay. So this will become a loop. If we set this up correctly, we communicate with people, we add value, it will become a loop of people working with you once and then again and referring you business, and it'll be this whole continuous thing. This is another reason why I personally love client events, because think about your business in 5 years and all the people you will help in those 5 years. Get them all together in a room and they're just talking about how much you help them, because that's the thing, you are the thing they have in common. So all these conversations are going to be happening without you having to initiate them or even be part of them. That will help solidify you in their brain as their realtor for life. That all makes sense. All right, so let's pull this all together. Lead gen never ends. It's always a part of the business. It's always the most important part of the business. It's best when it's time blocked. And you guys, time blocking, if you don't already know, is very simply, where's my calendar? Very simply putting things in the calendar in like legit chunks of time. Okay. I like to color code it. I also like paper because I'm old school. But that way you can visually see what your day looks like and you can plan it out. And then you'll know, okay, I only have an hour to spend on this one thing. You might need to combine it with a telephone like alarm on your phone to help like 5 minutes before, so you know that you're gonna run out of time. People use an egg timer, like there's a lot of different things you can do to build those habits of time blocking. But conceptually, that's what time blocking is. It's just putting blocks in your calendar for different activities. So you could have a block for lead gen. You could have another one for lead follow-up, which I highly suggest. You could have a block for lunch. You could have a block for appointments. And lead gen will determine the size of your business. The more you do, the bigger business you'll have and the higher quality of business you'll have. Steve, anything you want to add? I feel like I've been talking for a long time here.
No, I think you're doing pretty good. Unfortunately, I suffered a power failure here. And I dropped out for about 3 minutes.
Oh,
I'm
That's
now
right.
running on generator, so
I was just rattling on about the database. Yeah.
no, just you know, to support one of the comments you made. You know, yeah, unless you've had a two-way conversation with the person, they're still a lead, and they can be a lead forever until you've had that two-way conversation. Because until you've spoken to them, you don't know what they're doing. You know, are they interested in buying? Are they interested in selling? Or did they just saw that house got listed and they know a new kitchen was put in and they wanted to see what the pictures looked like for the new kitchen? So you need to have that conversation with them.
Yeah. Agreed. I see Melanie's question in the comments here. Are there legitimate lead gen, I'm assuming maybe like services that you can acquire by paying a service? Yes, there are some. Some are better than others. A lot of them are, you have to really be married to your telephone and be very quick to respond. A lot of them, it doesn't really make sense to do it unless you can commit to responding within about 60 seconds. So that's how some are set up. If you're purchasing leads, Facebook ads, I have heard people have a lot of success running very targeted Facebook ads. So that could be something to look into, but be very careful before you spend money on anything to do a lot of research and make sure that it makes sense for you.
I can speak about Facebook ads a little bit.
Okay.
I do them a lot. Whenever I'm either whenever I have a new listing or I have an open house, I will literally spend $20 on Facebook, and I will get between 15 and 20 good leads. It's name, email address, etc., phone number. Unlike an open house, you don't get Jesus Christ, you don't get Fred Flintstone, and you don't get Santa Claus signing in. However, you also have to remember that those people are interested today. So, you know, you need to contact them right away. What I do is I set up I tell Facebook, okay, put a tag, you know, put this particular tag on that person when you send them over. And then I tell Command, when someone comes in with this tag, run this smart plan, which is an autoresponder, which basically just says, thank you very much for your interest in, you know, 25 Main Street, you know, lovely house. You know, if you have any burning questions, give me a call right away. Here's my phone number. Otherwise, I will contact you in a little while. So that just lets them know that there's somebody there. But I make sure that I call them back within an hour. I try to call them back within 15 minutes.
That's awesome. Thank you.
And a little more on that. Every time I've done this, well, okay, the last 3 listings I put online, I sold to people that came in through Facebook and picked up at least 1, if not 2 other sales from that. One which stands out, I was selling a $200,000 loft in Providence. A gentleman from Wisconsin saw the Facebook posting and contacted me because he and his wife were moving to Providence. They did not buy this condo. They bought a $450,000 condo instead. So that ad had an incredible return. And it's $20. If you were to buy a zip code from Zillow, you'd be paying $200 to $300, if not more, per month for that zip code. So I'm a firm believer in social media.
Question, Steve.
Yes.
Who did the design on the ad? Did you do it, or did Facebook? Was it like a KW?
No, I did it right through
Okay.
command. Did it right through command. You tell it what the listing is. You pick the photographs you want to have in the on the board, and then you set up a landing page. So if they click more information, it sends them out to the landing page, which happens to be in your website. And the beauty of that is Facebook and Instagram and Twitter give you their contact information. They're not having, yes, they can put in their name and their phone number and that other stuff, but Facebook already gives it to you. And it's, you can, I find, yes, you can do some very intensive designs around your little promotion. People aren't shopping for artwork, they're shopping for houses. So simple is better.
Do you use, sorry, Ashley, I don't mean to cut you off.
You can keep asking.
Do you do any, or have you had any success with your just sold blast? Like after you sell a property, blasting that local geography with an ad saying just sold, or is that something that you do? Or anyone on the call for that matter?
I think it's, those don't work for me. I think it's more the area that I sell in. I'm in the south coast of Rhode Island. Half the houses are seasonal homes. So a lot of times that postcard is going to a tenant. And I know that when I go out to the end of the street and I empty out my mailbox every day, I get those postcards from other agents. I don't even look at them.
Okay.
However, go door knocking in that neighborhood, as Ashley mentioned earlier. Hey, the house down the street just sold, and I've got, I had 20 people come look at it. There are people that want to buy in this neighborhood. Would you happen to know of anyone that is thinking of selling? And then what about yourself? Have you thought about selling? That works a lot better. For me, that works a lot better. Some people swear by postcards.
Thank you, Steve.
Those are just amazing results, and I love how many different options there are for lead gen. And everyone's gonna find their thing that works really well for them. But I love that Facebook $20. Like, yeah, I'll spend $20 to get some leads.
Oh, you're spending $10 on a latte, so yeah.
Question. So is this $20 you spent because I never done any social media marketing. So they have time frame where you pay $20 and how long does the ad will run?
I usually run the ad. I start at Thursday morning and I have it run through Monday.
And that costs you $20 to do that?
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, it's very inexpensive. And you target an audience. You target an audience based on geography and on interests. Facebook won't let you, because of fair housing and discrimination, Facebook won't let you target by age, income, occupation, etc. But you can target by interests. So I put in my interest group is people that have looked at Zillow, Realtor.com, etc. People that have looked at, that are interested in investments and vacations and real estate, and oh god, there are thousands of interests you can look at. And I put those all into an audience, and then I either target the property. I either target 100 miles around Fairfield, Connecticut, or 100 miles around the city of Boston, because for some reason, those people like to come to Narragansett, Rhode Island with big bags of cash.
Yes, they do.
Just like in New Hampshire.
I have a
So
question.
do you, go ahead.
Yes.
Sorry. I was saying,
ahead.
I agree with you about Facebook. I've done a lot of like rentals and I found a lot of leads through that. But I'm curious, how do you actually combine it and connect it with the landing page and on command? How did you connect the two?
If you go, well, that's really for another class. That'll be coming up, but very quickly, if you go into command, and you set up a campaign, as you're going through the menu and filling out all the information, down towards the bottom, it says, do you want to auto tag what do you want to do with the leads? Do you want to auto tag them? And do you want to start them on a smart plan? So I tag them with the address of the property, so I know that they came in from 25 Main Street. And I have a smart plan that's set up that's tailored to 25 Main Street.
Okay, when
April,
is
you had
this
your hand up for a few minutes.
Hi, I was curious about the kind of like the how to do this. I'm familiar with Facebook. I've never actually created an ad. And I know that they pretty much prompt you to do certain steps. But being new to command, I know that they have different trainings within, that to kind of, help you maneuver through command. Will those training classes kind of cover something like this? Or is it kind of get familiar with how things work and then see how you do?
What's your email address? Actually, anyone that's interested in learning more about this, put your email in the chat, and I'm going to send you a link to the Marty Miller 66-day challenge. Marty's got some. He's taken command and he's broken it into 66 different pieces.
Oh,
each one's like 10 to 15 minutes, and it just spoon feeds you all the way through the process.
Oh, that's perfect. I'll add it right now. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Anyone that's interested in that, put your name in. Oh, everyone's putting it in the chat. Yeah. So just put your address in the chat, and I'll send it to you after the class is over.
Awesome. Thank you. I was just going to say, I'm sure there's a video of that. And I was actually thinking I had the Marty Miller series pulled up yesterday because I sent it to a couple of our new agents. Anything you need to know about command, he pretty much has a short video on it.
Yeah.
So.
And believe me, they are short, 10 to 15 minutes. And I've taught classes in it. My classes run 2 hours because they're hands-on. You don't want to hear me babbling for 2 hours when you have one little question.
Awesome. I love it. So there you go, guys. Another lead gen tactic, Facebook ads. All right, so let's move on to a little bit more about your existing sphere of influence. This is a lot of pictures of people who could be in your sphere. All right. So you have all these different categories: immediate family, friends, relatives, neighbors, past coworkers, hobbies, sports groups, teachers, any sort of church, volunteer clubs, professional services, financial, legal services, personal services. So it's good to go through and sort of categorize in your mind who you already know. It will also give you an opportunity to add people to different categories. So I want to find, I thought there was a slide that had 15 of these. Maybe it's just like looking wonky. There are 3 more: home, auto services, real estate, other real estate agents. That's a huge opportunity, you guys. Referrals from other agents, either out of state or across, potentially in your own state. I see a lot of referrals pass between downtown Boston agents and agents in the suburbs. So having a network of other agents, even the people, there are 56 of us on this call. I'm sure there are going to be opportunities to pass business amongst each other. So just get in the habit of building relationships with other agents, and who knows, you could get some referrals out of it. Real estate services is the last category as well. So think of at least 1 or 2 people that you already know in each category you can break them down even more. I'm thinking specifically personal services. Who does your hair? Or your spouse's hair? Those people are talking to people all day long about their most intimate parts of their life, their family, their job. Hairdressers are like gold for finding business. Mawish. Hi.
I've been thinking about reaching out to these offices, like professional services or home services, offices nearby in my neighborhood. But how to talk to them? Is there any script, like give them my business cards, or what they would remember me to, like, talk to people who come into their office?
Excellent question. It's all about providing value and building the relationship. So a couple options with that would be going in, introducing yourself, asking how you can help promote their business. Maybe that looks like you collect their business card or a menu if it's a restaurant, or a coupon, or whatever they have, you can collect and give to people moving into the area, or just have it on hand so you can refer business to them. You could also do a business spotlight, local business spotlight, where that could be on your social media, or perhaps in a newsletter that you send out. You could feature a local business and either do a little video with them or write up a little blurb about them, and just extra ways to promote them. Those are the keys. And then naturally, they will want to see how they can help you as well. Yeah. April.
Just to kind of piggyback on what we we're just talking about there is, I believe I got this from that Scripts Jedi, and I always carry my business cards, but he had said, never carry your business cards, even though you have them. So when you start talking to somebody about, real estate or doing like a local spotlight or whatnot, kind of play it out that, oh, I don't actually have any on me right now. What's the best way I can reach out to you? And they might either give you their phone number or their email address, and then you actually have their contact information, even though technically you do have a card to hand out. I found that if you hand out a business card, you may not always hear back from them. So let them give you information, because you will get back to them versus them getting back to you. And I think that that's a really good tip.
Yeah, that's one strategy. I have heard that before. I think that works in some situations. In other situations, they might want a stack of your cards to hand out to people. So just kind of play it by ear, but you're right. It's always important to make sure you collect their information. That's the key. Thank you. All right. I'm popping into the chat here for a sec. Helen says, tell people at the gym. She's a trainer and she already has people interested. Yeah, this is the next section of this. Building your sphere, meeting new people. The easiest way to do that is to start with where you're already spending time. If you already go to a gym on a regular basis, or maybe you have a part-time job somewhere else. One of my good friends who's been an agent around about the same time as me, we started the same year, and our desks were right next to each other. She was a bartender, and she got so much business from just talking to people at the bar. So yes, there's work to be done, and yes, it will make you feel uncomfortable sometimes, but you can make it easier by starting with what you're already doing, what groups you're already involved in. If you have kids, do they have friends who have parents who you're spending time with because you're all at the football game together for 2 hours? Like, start there, have these conversations that are just relationship building, get to know you, make friends. You can make it a little easier if you want. You can buy a Keller Williams vest or hat or something, and that might strike up a conversation. Or if that's not your style, just have conversations. If somebody's a business owner, it's even easier, because then you can make it about them and how you can help support their business. How can I promote you? What would be valuable to you? All right. So we have a little activity here. Just as this is a mental activity, and you can make some notes as well. Think back to your day yesterday and just mentally run through your day from the very beginning. What did you do? Who did you encounter in the world? Who did you talk to? Take a minute to write down where you went and what you did and who you talked to. And think about if there's an opportunity, not right now, but like if there was an opportunity yesterday to talk to any of those people about real estate, or to just get to know them in general. We're not going to spend a ton of time on this, but if anyone has an aha around this activity, I would love to hear it.
Yesterday, I was at the court and I overheard this guy trying to get his paperwork filled out for a real estate home that his brother or his, I don't know, basically there were two deceased people who had owned this property, and he was trying to get, his paperwork squared away, and the clerk kept saying, you didn't sell the house. If you didn't sell the house, you don't have to put it in. If you didn't sell the house, you don't have to put that, the information in. So the whole time, so I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I should just talk to this guy, if you're gonna sell this house, like, here's my card, but I just didn't have the time to, start that conversation because he was in another window, and I was trying to deal with my own situation. So I could have just definitely slipped him my card, but I'm like, that's just, I don't know. I just felt like that was a good opportunity to strike conversation and even give my cards. But the timing was so off that I just kind of did what I had to do and just like walked away. So that was a lost opportunity for me.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that. That's a good example of a potentially lost opportunity, but good learning experience too. And that it'll happen a lot, you guys. Your brains will start to pick up, though there's a part in the brain called the reticular activating system, and that's the part that, like, when you buy a new car, you start to see that same car everywhere because your brain is more in tune to that particular car. It's the same thing with real estate.
Also, I felt like it was a little insensitive, because two people just passed, and then I'm like, yeah, here's my card, you need to sell this house, call me, as opposed to like, oh, this person just passed away, I'm sorry. Like, I just couldn't bear to like bring that up without really having the time to sit down and really talking to him and mention all these things. That's why I was just kind of like, it's just the timing was off. It just, I didn't have the time, number one, and also too, like, I couldn't just like be like, yeah, here's my card, like, and I was eavesdropping on his conversation too, so it just felt so awkward.
Yeah, in that situation, it might not have been the most appropriate to be like, here's my card. There's a lot of nuance to that, especially if it's around a death.
There is a softer way you can approach that situation. Just excuse me, I didn't mean to, listen to your conversation, but I'm a realtor in this area. If you have any real estate questions whatsoever, give me a call. I'll be happy to help you. You're not saying I want to sell the house or buy the house. You just, if you have any real estate questions, here's my card, give me a call.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Noesh, what do you have?
I just wanted to add something. The other day there was a class, the Ignite class, and the instructor told us that put little magnets behind your business card so that people don't people put them in your in their fridge or like that, so that they won't get lost. So put little magnets. They are available in Staples if anyone wants that. That's it.
Thank you. That's a good option as well. There are a lot of things that enhance. That's actually a really good example of a marketing enhancement. And giving a stranger your card and then putting it on the fridge is a great thing if you're also staying in touch with them in these other prospecting ways. right? So people will want to work with you because they know you and you have that relationship. David, do you have something to add? I just saw David come off mute. Did you want to say something?
Well, while he's collecting his thoughts, I've got something to add. How many of you have a name tag? Okay. Where do you stand in line the most? And don't say the restroom, but that could work too. You're in line at the grocery store. What are you doing when you're waiting and you have that, two people ahead of you, they don't have the price. You look at the person, you look at the people around you. I have met people standing in line at the grocery store, and when they see that, they say, "Oh, you're in real estate. How's the market?" You can get a conversation going with them. And you're in line at the bank. There was one person here that, forget who it was, that was in their bank at the coffee shop, and someone said, "Oh, that person's a realtor. Talk to them. You're looking for a realtor." Wear your name tag. I feel bad I don't have mine on this morning, but I wear it out. I wear it going out all the time. I actually recruited an agent into my office. I was in the grocery store one night and I walked down the aisle and these two women were talking. And as I passed, one of them said, "Well, there's this condo I'd really like to buy." Sirens went off. I turned around and I walked over and said, "I didn't mean to be eavesdropping, but I'm a realtor in the area if you have any questions." And the other woman laughed and said, "Oh, I'm so-and-so with Remax." And I'm like, "Oh, sorry, didn't mean to, hone in on your client." But she called me the next day and she's like, "I met you at Belmont Market last night. I want to know more about Keller Williams. I'm glad you gave me your name." And she's now Keller Williams Coastal agent.
That's awesome.
Wear your name tag, and don't go in and say, "You want me to sell your house?" No. If you have any questions about real estate, I can help you.
Right. I'm a resource if you need anything.
Yes.
We have a question in the chat. How do we get a name badge? You can order them online. Steve, do you have a preferred website that you use?
If you go to kw.com, there's a list of vendors in there.
I feel like in the past I've just Googled real estate name tag and a bunch of and I picked one.
Where'd you order your business cards from? Because all those print shops also do name tags.
Yeah.
And get two. Leave one in your car. So when you go to the grocery store and it's like, "Oh shoot, I forgot my name tag," it's in the car.
I used to have two. One was black background and one was a white background for different outfits.
I'm a guy, I don't care about fashion. They're all
I know,
white.
I was gonna say that might be relevant to everyone, but Mawish, what do you got?
Yes, I have a question. If you work somewhere, like as a cashier or anywhere, can you wear your name tag? That's a little weird.
Probably depends on your boss there and what they say.
Okay. Thank you.
Actually, I tell you, I retired 10 years ago from my full-time, from another life. And so for the first year, I hated the fact that I had to pay for my own health insurance. And I took a part-time job working at the service desk at Home Depot because they were giving insurance to part-timers. And I would wear my Keller Williams shirt under the apron. And I also had a magnetic sign on my car out in the parking lot. They did give me a hard time about it, but they never said I couldn't wear the shirt. So in cases like that, it's easier to ask for forgiveness than to ask for permission.
I agree. Don't get yourself fired, but
yeah,
do what you can get away with. All right, cool. Any other opportunities that you are thinking about that you could have had over the past, week or really any time? Any other chances that you could have to interact with people and strike up a conversation. I'd love to hear from one more person on this, and then we can move on to some other things. Yes, John.
So yeah, I had an open house, my first open house actually, last week. And I would say 6 families came in to check out the house. And out of those 6 families, I had 2 leads, but I wasn't able to like get his phone number because I brought in a sign-in sheet and he put in just his email, but I didn't find out until like after he left that he only put his email. So I actually wanted all the information I could from that one person, so I can follow up like 15 minutes after the open house. So what I did was I just emailed him right away, but he hasn't responded yet. But the other lead that I got, I'm actually working with him right now, and he's in the process of getting pre-approved for a loan. So, but I don't know what I could have done better to actually get his phone number so I can follow up right away. So if you guys could help me, I would appreciate it.
Sure. Well, first of all, congratulations on your first open house and landing a buyer from it. That's amazing. Good job.
Thank you.
A couple of things you could do, and they don't always work for everyone because humans are weird and some people will just refuse to give you one piece of their information. That's okay. We don't want to be, annoying about it. But you can keep an eye on the sign-in sheet, and if you notice they just put one piece of information, you could ask, hey, do you mind, putting your phone number as well? I promise I won't bother you. I just want to be able to follow up and make sure I answer any questions you have. So that's one option. You could just straight up ask. Another option is when you have the sign-in sheet, if you're using a paper sign-in sheet, make sure you fill in the first line with fake information and fill it in all the parts. So put a fake email, put a fake phone number, and that way it will encourage people to fill it out in kind. I don't know why, it's something psychological. People are more inclined to fill that out in its entirety if they already see someone else to do it. Another thing you can do is you could move to an electronic sign-in sheet, and what I've been seeing people have a lot of success with is setting up a landing page in Command, creating a QR code, and that way they can sign in on their phone and give you all their information, and then you can have it talk to a smart plan automatically. So you can go in and add those people to a smart plan for that open house, and then they'll start receiving your communication. Okay, got some hands. William. Oh, did we lose you?
When you're doing open houses, call all the phone numbers. A year ago, I was not a real estate agent, but I was shopping for a house. I went to a bunch of open houses, and at first I was looking for a town to live in, not the house. I just wanted to get a feel for the area. So I kind of avoided the sign-in sheets. But after a while, I decided where I was going to live. I started going to open houses and filling out my information, and figuring someone was going to contact me from the open house, and that was going to be my agent. And I went to several open houses and no one contacted me, and I would have been their buyer if they had.
That's crazy to me that nobody called you. You guys, don't be those agents. Call all the people.
So even call people that are represented or no?
No, don't call those people. Call their agent.
Okay.
Yeah, ask them who their agent is and get their agent's contact info, and then call the agent and say, hey, your buyer Joe came to my open house.
Okay.
When I do an open house, I do a single sheet for each person. And I have a little sign posted next to the stack of sheets that says all 100% filled out registration forms will be eligible for a drawing for a $25 Dunkin' Donuts card.
Ooh, that's a good one.
This serves a couple of purposes. Number one, if I think you're a hot buyer and I want to work with you, you won the coffee card. You have to come to my office to pick it up. If you happen to have 2 hot buyers that show up, hey, someone won second prize. But I get a very good response on that. Secondly, look at the sheet once they filled it out. If they didn't fill the sheet out, tell them that, hey, how many of you use the phone app? And share that with clients. Hey, I have this great little real estate phone app I'd love to share with you. If you give me your cell phone number, I can text it to you right now. And it goes right to their phone. They click the link and it installs itself. And you have their phone number.
Absolutely. And another benefit of that app is you're able to see through command any activity. You can see if they're interacting and looking at stuff. And you can, yeah, awesome. I love those ideas. Jason, what you got?
So I just took my CE so I could, for continuing ed, so I could renew my license. And I took the open house CE and it said something interesting. So I live in Westfield, Mass, but my office is Pinnacle in Worcester. So I may not be able to get an agent to cover my open house. So it mentioned having someone assist you at the open house. And maybe just to follow up on what what John mentioned, maybe have that person man the clipboard and have them fill out the information for the guests that come through to make sure that we capture everything. And then that way we can coach that assistant. Hey, if you have an unrepresented person come through, if someone says they don't have they're not working with a realtor, make sure that you connect me with that person so I can at least say hello. So that way we make sure all the fields are captured, because a sign could work, but a sign doesn't talk. It's just there. And a lot of people don't read. They just want to see the house. They're there for that. So it makes me wonder if you have that extra person, maybe one on the lower level that's working, that has the clipboard, and then someone else maybe if there's a second level, but making sure that clipboard has a greeter essentially to come and make sure that everything gets filled out and the people get greeted while you're off and doing your thing in the open house somewhere else, and you don't miss out on any of that traffic.
Great idea. And we don't have time to cover a lot of open house stuff today, but I will say having a second person there is beneficial for a lot of reasons, not the least of which is safety. So having a second person there, another agent, a lender, your friend, whatever, and you can certainly put them to work if they're licensed. All right, Melissa, what do you have?
So kind of piggybacking back on the open houses, even if they have an agent, whether their agent shows up with them or not, I've still been entering them in command. And my thought process behind that was entering them into command. I'll leave a note that they attended this open house at this location on this date, and then I'll pin a task for 3 to 6 months out so I could follow up to see if they did purchase a home. Because they use that agent doesn't necessarily mean that in the future, if they're looking for investment properties or they still haven't found a home, that they wouldn't necessarily want to use that same agent. They may be looking for a new agent if something popped up. So I'm just putting them in command with a pin date to touch bases with them in 3 to 6 months to see how their house journey went, if they did find a home, if they moved in, have any other questions, and then try to build a relationship from there. I don't know if that's standard practice or a good idea, but that's what I've been doing.
Okay. I appreciate that. I would be extremely careful with that. My gut reaction is to not do that at all.
Okay.
I don't want to say too much of a blanket statement. My default is talk to your broker about it and just make sure that you're staying in compliance with that. But that's a very gray area. Yeah, anytime somebody has an agent, okay, great. I will only talk to your agent. That's my standard practice around that. Yeah, because that could get bad quickly. That could get messy.
Okay.
So be very, very careful and maybe run it past your broker first.
Okay.
But I'm
Now,
glad you brought that up, 'cause
what
I'm
you can safely do is, let's say you sell that house. You put that buyer in your database, because once once the deal is closed, that relationship with the realtor is over. And the reason I do that, the reason I put them in the database is because every NAR study out there says 80% of the people say, I'm going to use the same agent again, and less than 20% do, because that agent moves on and forgets about them. So once the deal is closed, they're fair game.
That's
You
the
want-
distinction.
Yeah, you don't want to be known as, oh, be careful around Melissa's open houses because she's going to try to poach your clients. You don't want that to happen.
No, and that's the thing, is that if they are attending the open house and they are represented and they list an agent, I don't contact them at all. But 3 to 6 months down the road, I may send them an email just saying, how's your house hunting journey going? Or whatever the case may be, to see if they're still working with that agent or if they bought their home. And then at that point would be whether or not we establish a relationship or I just pin them out in the future. I wouldn't coach them at that point during that open house. I would pin out a task in the future to touch base with them.
And your intentions are very good. However, I happen to have 2 buyers that we have been looking for over a year for the right property. So, you know, it's you're getting into a very gray area that could explode on you. So just be very careful
Gotcha.
how you deal with that.
Okay, noted. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, good conversations, you guys. Let's talk about this bold law real quick. Change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change. I'm sure some of you have heard this before. What would be an example of this? What does this bring to mind? Maybe something we've already talked about around your interactions with the general public or your own people. Kayla.
I feel like kind of, if instead of looking at like lead generation, like, oh my God, it's so hard, or it's everyone's going to be thinking it's weird that I'm contacting them. If you look at it like, it's not that hard, or people want me to reach out to them. It just seems a lot easier, even if it didn't change how easy it was.
Yeah, perfect. That's a great example. No wish.
Yeah, in my opinion, it's not about looking for business all the time. Just make friends, make connections, talk to people, and that's it. The people will come back to you whenever they need you.
That's right, exactly. I love it. Okay, any ahas from this section? Let's hear 2. Bonus points if we hear from people who we haven't heard from yet today. Does anyone want to be brave and share an aha?
Right, I got one.
Okay.
So I heard a speaker talk about this, and it makes sense. I can't remember who the actor was, but there was an actor, famous, maybe James Cagney or somebody way back when, who actually got very nervous, but he created an imaginary persona for himself, which then got him into roles. Like, he wasn't thinking it was him, it was somebody else. So what's my connection? I have talked to a number of people just casually saying, hey, how's it, like a waiter or somebody, and something along the lines of, hey, quick question for you. My wife is a real estate agent. She made me promise to just talk to people and ask, who do you know who might be looking to buy or sell a home? It's not me. It's my wife's fault. And if I'm saying that, I'm joking, but it's my motivation. Like, hey, not for me, but my wife, said we really need, you never know who might be looking for help or something like that. It's a little smooth. I'm just a little nervous in front of 48 people, but.
You're good. I love that. And thank you so much for being brave and sharing. Absolutely. I've heard that before. I don't remember who it was either, but creating a different persona or blaming somebody else, putting it on them, put it on me, you guys. If you want to have these conversations, I took a class and this crazy redheaded chick told me I needed to ask you this question about real estate. So I'm sorry, but she told me I should. So, you know, make a joke out of it, make people laugh. Humor is a great icebreaker. That's awesome. Thank you.
Actually, the one of the things I learned in one of my bold classes was that people like to help you. So when you put out, you know, the task they had us do that day was we had to post on Facebook that, hey, I'm taking a class and we're doing a contest and I need to contact 15 people today. And I had friends calling from California, from Chicago, but it was like, you know, what can I do to help? You know, sell your house, damn it. But when you come from the, you know, like, you know, someone's making me do this. Okay, I'll help you out. What do you need? You'll get response from that.
Yeah, it's a very different vibe. It
Yeah.
makes it easier for you, the agent, to put that out there. It also puts the prospect at ease, whoever you're talking to. They're like, oh, okay, this person is not some slimy salesy real estate agent, which by the way, they all subconsciously think we are. So immediately you're dismissing that, right? You're like, no, it's not for me. I'm totally selfless. I don't care if I ever make a dime in my life. I'm doing it for that. And then they're like, okay, all right. Awesome. Thank you guys. This is great. Okay, next section here, expanding your sphere, meeting new people. So the first step of this is to add more personal information to your sphere contacts. So the very baseline is name, email, phone number. If you can get their address, great. I've stalked so many people in public record to get their address. It's not even funny. But additionally, you can add their birthday, which you can usually find on Facebook, their home anniversary if they've purchased something from you in the past, their children's names, their pets, their career, you know, where they work. I mean, add as much detail to your contacts as possible. And you might think you have it all in your brain, and you probably do for now, but as the database grows, it's going to be harder and harder to keep track of. So what this is brain space leverage, putting stuff in command so you don't have to worry about remembering it in your head. And that way you can use that personal information to build the relationship. Maybe you could even set a reminder for everyone's birthday a week in advance. Send them a card instead of just saying happy birthday on Facebook. That will make you more memorable. For instance.
Actually, if you put their birthday in command and you use, where's my camera? Command on your phone, 30 days before their birthday or their home anniversary, you'll get a notification that, hey, Ashley's birthday is in 30 days. And then you'll get other notices saying, give her a call, send her a card. A tip I got from my broker when I first joined Keller Williams was call them at their office on their birthday. And call them at the, you know, just so they can say to their friends, my God, that was my realtor just called me and wished me happy birthday or happy home anniversary. And if it's a big one, send them a little gift to the office. You know, some pastry, flowers, what have you. Just send them something so everyone notices and says, oh, who sent that? Oh, it was my realtor.
Yeah, I like it. So you might be wondering how you go about collecting this information. Some of it you can get from stalking on social media. Everything else, just ask. I know it seems scary. You might be thinking, how can I ask someone for their address? That's weird. It's all in, again, shifting how you look at things. If you frame it as, hey, you know what? I am compiling my holiday card list. What's a good address for you? I'd like to send you a little something in the mail. What's a good address for you? Just be sure that if you do use that particular script, that you actually do send them something. Otherwise, they're going to be like, I never got the thing you were going to send me, you know?
How many of you are familiar with the Neighborhood Nurture Report that's in Command? Based on your home address, you can run a report that gives that person real estate information on their neighborhood. Not their zip code, not their town, their neighborhood. It's a great way to just say, hey, you know, I've got this great report I'd love to share with you. It'll tell you what's going on with real estate in your neighborhood. Works great for people that are thinking of selling, but they aren't sure, or if someone's thinking of buying and they like a neighborhood. You know, if they're thinking of selling, get that, you know, they give you their home address, you plug it in, you hit the report. You can actually set it up so it goes to them on a periodic basis to give them updated. But if you're giving them something, everybody wants to know what the hell's going on with that house up the street. They will give you their home address to get that report. And if they don't want to give you their phone number, don't kill yourself. You have their email address, keep email correspondence going with them. You know, if they don't want to talk to you, they're not going to talk to you.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I'm glad that you mentioned that, because in all of these activities, collecting information, building relationships, there will be people you encounter who just don't want to engage at all. They don't want to share their info. Usually you encounter people like that at like an open house or something. They're like, no, I'm out. I'm just here. I don't want to be bombarded. And that's totally fine. That's part of what makes this a numbers game, is finding enough people who do find what you have to offer valuable. They don't have a brother or cousin who's in the business who they will always feel obligated to use. Finding enough of those people. So if somebody is giving you, you know, some pushback, you don't want to push them back too much. Finding that line of not being the annoying salesperson. They don't want to work with you. They don't want to talk with you. Fine, no problem. Next. If you change your mind, I'm here. No hard feelings. So another way to expand your sphere is strengthening casual connections. So I'm glad they put this picture here. We already kind of talked about this a little bit. People on the soccer field, the other parents, instead of being, you know, in your rectangle for 2 hours, you can set it down and look up and maybe make some new friends. We all do that, right? We're like, you know, that's fine if you need to like mentally decompress and you want to take a break in that moment. But there's a huge opportunity when you're in public at an event, at a club, I don't mean like a nightclub. I mean like like a book club or something, to interact and build friendships and relationships with the other people who are there. And there are a lot of people in your world. You'll start to see this. Your RAS is now activated. So you'll start to see the opportunities for these casual connections you already have, these acquaintances you already have. Look for ways to beef up those relationships, to get to know people better. And the best way to do that is asking questions. How are you doing? How's the start of school? Any exciting plans for the fall? Are you going apple picking? I'm thinking about hosting an apple picking event. I haven't decided yet, but if you're interested, I might just do it. Join groups that will connect you with people who have similar interests and values. These can be social groups, they can be sports, they can be places to volunteer. It could be a board that you sit on. One of my agents is newer in the business here in Framingham, and she is on the Economic Development Committee of her town. And that has provided a lot of opportunities to be seen as a leader in the community. And we were talking about this yesterday. It's kind of interesting how when people see you as a leader in the community and they find out you're in real estate, more often than not, they will assume that you've been in real estate for a long time because you are positioning yourself as a leader. It's interesting how that happens. Like, you might not even have to say anything. They're just going to assume you've been around for a long time. So what are some places that you could get more involved and meet some new people? Pop some things in the chat here. I'd love to hear from a few of you guys. Any ideas for places to meet some new people? Humane Society. Community center.
Business chamber.
Church event.
Business chamber, chamber of commerce, church event, yeah. Town hall, school volunteer.
I was gonna say parent teachers, yeah, parent teachers or PTO.
Yeah, absolutely. Festivals, yeah. Awesome. Kids sports teams, yeah. Habitat for Humanity volunteer. So let's pause for 1 second. Do a quick time check. Okay, let's pause for 1 second. We just threw out a lot of really good ideas. Helen says she's about to join all the groups. Good, because that's what I was just going to advise. Take a minute and put a reminder somewhere. Put it in your calendar. Maybe even do an hour time block right now in your calendar to find groups to join and join the groups. Research them, figure out the time, the cost, any sort of commitment, and book it, get it done. Put that in your calendar right now, please. Otherwise, it's just a good idea and nothing ever happens. You're learning a lot in these Ignite sessions. Yeah. It would be unfortunate to not take action on these things that you're learning. Cool. Yeah, referrals. Majority of your business from your sphere. It sounds like a threat. I know, I'm very scary and threatening. It's not a threat, it's an invitation. Oh, I can see how I phrase it. It would be very unfortunate. Oh my God. At the end of the session, I'm going to ask you guys all to do an evaluation for me. I'm going to get so many bad reviews. She threatened everyone. Please don't tell them that.
Oh my God, and the threat's been recorded.
I know, right? Not a threat, not a threat. Yeah, referrals are huge. So in our conversations with our sphere, I would argue that it's better to ask for the referral than to ask for their business, because it's less
threatening.
It's less threatening. I was just gonna say that. It's less threatening. It's, hey, can you help me with this? Can you help just keep me in mind and let me know if you hear anyone who's talking about moving and could use my help? Versus, do you want to move? Do you want to move? I know I asked you last week, but do you want to move yet? They're like, no. Okay, that will get you blocked. That's an easy way to lose all your friends. So it's better to just enlist their help. Hey, you're my friend. Can you help me with this?
Yeah, one of the scripts that you'll get in this program, it's a very simple one. It's, as you're calling people, you ask, do you know of anyone who's thinking of buying, selling, or investing in real estate? And if they say no, well, if you think of someone, give me a call and give me their name. What about you? Have you thought of buying, selling, or investing in real estate? So you've broken the ice. You're not threatening them. You're asking them for some help, and then, you're offering your service to them too.
Yeah, I agree that it's good to ask that once. of them. And if they say, no, we're not moving for 20 years, okay, cool. So then make a note of that in Command or in your whatever CRM you're using so that you know not to hound them about that. But you can continue to be in touch and ask for referrals and provide value. Maybe they don't want to move for 20 years, but maybe they want to put on an addition and you can help them find some good contractors and people to do that work. That's another reason to build out your sphere of other business owners so you can be a resource for whatever people need.
How many of you read those weekly letters from mortgage brokers telling you about the new programs they have? Okay, I only saw one hand go up. You should read those letters because every so often it takes you 30 seconds. Every so often you'll see something in there and you'll say, hey, I have a client that falls into that situation. I had one, he was on a VA loan. He purchased the house a year earlier. And the mortgage broker that I use all the time, it sent his weekly letter out, and he was talking about this new VA program that you got cheap interest for greening your house. And I sent it over to my client, said, hey, I know you've only been in the house for a year, but thought you might be interested. He took advantage of it, called me and thanked me, and then said, by the way, my buddy's coming, my buddy's being transferred to Newport. I'm going to give him your name. He needs this letter too. So it's just you helping your client, and hey, I happen to get a lead out of it. And the client bought in Newport, which is a very high price point.
Nice.
So, it's strengthen the network by sharing information that will help them. Things that are of benefit.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. So here are a few scripts. I'm building my business on people I know, the people they know. Do you know of anyone from friends or family, work, your neighborhood, or group you belong to who's thinking of buying, selling a home, or investing in real estate? I'd be pleased to be a resource for them. If you hear of someone with a real estate need, will you keep me in mind and let me know right away? The reason that they list out in the script, the reason they list out family, friends, work, your neighborhood, or a group is to help them jog their memory. So again, going back to the psychology behind this, if you are more specific in your ask, it will help trigger their memory. If anyone's been part of BNI, this is part of what they teach. If you say, hey, can you think of anyone who wants to move? Probably they're going to say no, because they can't think of anyone. But if you get more specific and you say, hey, do you know anyone who's maybe taken a new job out of state? Or can you think of anyone who has just found out they're going to have a baby? Or they just got engaged? Or unfortunately, you heard they're getting divorced? If you're more specific, that'll help trigger their memory. And then they're like, yeah, actually, I do know someone who's getting divorced and they get a new job and they're having a baby. And like, you want to meet that person? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Emily asks, where do the mortgage brokers post their letter about programs? I think Steve was just talking about in general, if you have some lenders who you are in relationship with, most of them send out some sort of newsletter. There's not one place where they all send it. It's more just whoever you use, they're probably sending out information regularly, right? Is that what you meant?
Yeah, I mean, I have three mortgage brokers that I work with, and all three. It's funny because they're with three different companies, and they all send the same damn letter.
Nice. It happens. I mean, back in the day, we all sent the exact same eEdge newsletter to.
Oh yeah, yeah. But I mean, for those of you that are fairly new agents, go meet a mortgage broker.
Yeah, go meet a couple.
Yeah. I like to, and the reason I use three, I don't ever want to be accused of, I come from the communications background. We were very, very aware of steering people. So I always give them a choice of three. I may, if they're the kind of person that needs to have their hand held and be spoon fed, there's one mortgage broker I'll send them to. If they're a high D personality, there's another mortgage broker that are gonna say, you know, you want to talk to this guy first. But I always give them a choice of 3.
Yeah, that's smart. That's smart, especially because it lets you match make a little bit and provide a higher level of service to your clients. Cindy.
So when you said you talked to, I haven't talked to any. Well, I did when I tried to decide which broker I'm gonna join, but now I'm with Keller Williams. Like, how do you? Because I don't know any broker, but how do you like pick which broker should you talk to, or like how do you go about?
Cindy, which office are you with?
I'm in Portsmouth.
Oh,
New
you're in my
Hampshire?
office.
Oh,
Portsmouth, New
okay.
Hampshire. No, Portsmouth, New Hampshire, sorry.
Yes.
You must have a mortgage broker that hangs around the office.
Oh, that's like, I mean, I never really been in the office and then kind of taking class or, do any of the business matter in there. But so every time you go there, you're gonna have like a broker just hang around here.
Well,
and you
like
kind of
in
just
our
pop in and then
office,
you can.
in our office, we have a mortgage company that rents office space in our office, and they sponsor a lot of events for us.
Oh, okay.
So, talk to your mentor, talk to your coach, whomever's at the office that you're dealing with, ask them for recommendations.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be
I'm
my,
gonna-
well, is reach out to the agents in the office who
Yeah.
trust and, ask them who they use.
Who do
Because
they prefer to use?
who do they like to use? Yeah, because versus just going online and Googling, like that could be, it's really important, especially for a mortgage broker to choose a really good one.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of not great ones. So getting a referral from another agent is key.
Right. Okay. I got you.
Of
Thank
course,
you.
talk to the person. If you do have somebody in your market center who is there as a vendor partner, then absolutely talk to them as well, because they will have already been vetted.
And I know that Gary Keller is going to be sending me the death threats, but I do not like to use mortgage brokers that are online only. Because yes, they've got some great programs, et cetera, but they work from 9 to 5. And problems happen at 5:15 on a Friday afternoon. And I want to know that I can go to Charlie's house and kick his door in at 3 o'clock in the morning and say, we got a problem, we got to fix this. That's the kind of a relationship you want to have with your mortgage brokers, because, pardon my French, shit happens on the weekend.
Right.
It doesn't
That's
happen.
where most thing happens.
Yeah, it doesn't happen between 9 and 5 when these online people are there. For example, I was doing this 150-mile charity bike ride, and I was in the middle of the Freetown State Forest outside of Fall River on a Sunday morning, and my cell phone rang, and I saw it was a co-broke I was working with. My guy was the buyer. And so when I got to the rest stop, I called and say, hey, what's going on? And we had there was an issue with the mortgage, and we were supposed to be closing on Tuesday morning. And we couldn't wait till Monday to get it settled. We had to get it taken care of on Sunday. So I was able to get a hold of the mortgage broker and get everything taken care of, and then get back on my bike and finish riding to the finish line.
That's something that, it's really good to rely on somebody that that you can rely on.
Yeah.
Then again, you have to take time to, you're right. I mean, you can see everything online just about, but if you're gonna get into personal detail, you kind of have to go in person.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you.
Awesome. All right, let's get into our last section here. So first we have a couple of best practices for lead gen. Tracking your lead sources, which means where are your leads coming from, and auditing those lead sources. So let's say you go out and join 10 different groups. I say this from experience because this is what I did. My first couple of years. I did a lot of cold calling. I also joined a lot of groups. You're not going to have time to pour into and build deep relationships in all of those groups. So try a lot of ones, test them out, see which ones you like, and then periodically, maybe every 6 months or so, do an audit of everywhere you're spending your time, everywhere that you are doing your lead gen, and really track what's working, how much time you're spending on it, how much money you're spending on it, how much energy you're spending on it, what are you getting out of it, and then make some decisions about what things to cut and where to spend. If one thing is working really, really well, cut out some other things to free up more resources to go pour over here. So that's what auditing your lead sources looks like. Diversify your database, meaning have a lot of different people in a lot of different parts of your life. You know, it doesn't have to be just your neighbors or just your friends. Should be everyone you encounter pretty much should know that you're in the business. There's a phrase, I think it originated from Bold, but don't quote me if I'm, don't be mad if I'm wrong on that. Don't be a secret agent. That's the phrase. Don't be a secret agent. Because we're in the business of helping people. And you guys are all ahead of the game, coming to these Ignite sessions, being with KW, the best training company in the world. Even if you don't have 20 years of experience selling real estate, you're still a really good agent and you have all the support in the world to help you with your clients. So by not being a secret agent, you're actually doing people a service by saying, hey, I can help you and I have the resources to do a really great job for you. And going back to a very early conversation, if you don't know something, you're going to find out and you have people to ask to find out. And that's really valuable. And then number 4, being consistent. That's a big part of this. So as you're choosing your lead gen strategies and putting this plan together, if something sounds just completely awful, like if somebody told me I needed to join a CrossFit gym, I'm out. I'm not doing it. If you're not a runner, don't join a runner's group. Like choose things that you're going to enjoy so you can be consistent. It sounds silly, but it's true. All right. We are running low on time, so we're going to go through the rest of this a little bit quicker. Time blocking. Yay, time blocking. Number 1, prepare. Get your mindset right. Remember why you're reaching out to people. You're not reaching out to be annoying and sell them something. You're reaching out to be helpful and they want to hear from you. That's the mindset to be in. Practice. So in our offices, we do role play every week, and there are a lot of script practice groups out there that you guys can join. You can get a scripts partner. Practicing what you're going to say is really important. And then preparing your call list ahead of time. So take action, have those conversations, and 3, maintain. Make sure you put, after you have your conversations, circle back to your database and make notes. What you talked about, what they said, and put reminders to follow up. Okay, they said they don't want to start looking for 6 months. Okay, I'm going to follow up with them in 4 or 5 months and just check in. But if you don't put that 3 months, yeah.
3 months, yeah.
Yeah, right. For instance, if you don't put the reminder though, it's very easy to forget to do that follow-up. And then 9 months later, you're like, oh crap, I need to call them. And then you call them and they already bought something. You're like, I've had that happen. Learn from my mistakes. We talk about building a bunker. So this is getting you ready to sit down and make calls. This is kind of the context for this slide. Building a bunker means getting all distractions out of there. If you have an office with a door, shutting the door, maybe putting a sign on the door saying, I'm doing my lead gen, please come back later. Store provisions, that means have your coffee, have some snacks, have whatever you need in your space with you so you don't have to leave. Because if you leave, thinking specifically if you're in your market center doing this, if you leave your desk or your office, it's very likely that other people are going to start talking to you and needing things. And you're like, no, I just need a glass of water. They're like, but I have a question. Then it's going to derail your momentum. So have everything in your space with you ahead of time. That includes a phone charger, by the way. Sweep reminds, that means getting rid of all of the distractions. So maybe you take your social media app off your phone. I know that sounds a little, sometimes I say that and people freak out, but it could be worth trying. It also means maybe not having your browser open and just have a printed, you could even have a printed call list. So you don't need the computer at all. You just have the phone and the list. So you can play around with this. There's no one right way to do it, but whatever you need to do to not be distracted. Maybe turn off your text notifications or something for that hour. And enlisting support. So get your colleagues on board, get your family on board. If you're doing this from home, tell everybody in the house, here's what I'm doing and here's why. And if you leave me alone for 2 hours, then we'll get pizza tonight. I don't know. But get them enlisted. Cindy, what do you got?
You're on mute.
I'm sorry. I am actually didn't put my hand down.
Oh, okay. It's all good. Thank you.
A little bit of advice. You don't want to be sitting there like this for an hour every day or 2 hours. Get a headpiece, either earbuds or a full headset, because then you have your hands free. And as I'm talking to a client or a prospect, I can be putting notes down.
Absolutely. That's a
So
really
get a comfortable set. Get one that you're not going to be constantly poking them back in because they fall out, or the head thing gets too tight, what have you. Get a comfortable headgear and sit down and start doing your calls.
Yeah.
And someone had asked earlier in the chat, where do you get phone numbers from? Check with your broker, check with your office. A lot of offices subscribe to list services that will give you lists of people. Clean the list first. Make sure that person's number is not on the do not call list.
Yes. 100%. Very important. You might get fined, your office might get fined if you call someone who is on the do not call list.
Yeah.
Jason Abrams would be so proud of us for saying that, Steve.
But seriously, make sure now, if that person called you, if they initiate the conversation, you can call them back. But if you're, let's say you're doing some circle prospecting and you got a list of phone numbers, in 3 blocks around a particular address, scrub that list first. Check those numbers out in the do not call list before you call them. Because if you get fined, it's coming out of your hide.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? You said that if we get the names of the people, our brokerage has a way of giving us the numbers to them, or?
Yeah, there are phone services out there, Cole's Directory, etc., that generate lists.
Pay for it, some don't.
Yeah,
So
some pay for it, some don't. And they have lists of, well, Cole's used to be the people that publish the phone books for everyone. So they have all the landlines. They're now adding in cell phones. But so you can give them you can give them an address and they can match a phone number to it. But don't call that number until you've checked it.
Right, and Crystal just dropped the national do not call link in the chat. Everybody bookmark that and make sure that you're checking. And of course, this doesn't apply to your friends and family. This is just if you're cold calling people who you don't already have their permission to reach out to them. So just that list.
The only time you have their permission to reach out to them is if they initiated the conversation, or they filled out a registration form at an open house. Otherwise, you're fair game for a suit.
Right. All right, cool. We are going to move into our last section here. In our last 10 minutes, we're going to do two things at once. So first, we are going to do some ahas, and I like this section of Ignite because it's ahas to achievement, where you talk about how your thinking's changed, what you're feeling differently about, what actions you're going to take. That's my favorite part, and what tools, models, and systems you're going to use. So I'd love to hear from a few of you, and I would encourage everyone to take a minute and write down your answers to these and really make sure that those actions get into the calendar. So that's part one. What we're also going to do is I'm going to put the evaluation link in the chat. So if you wouldn't mind, just take a second and fill this out. Oh, I forgot the W's. So the reason for this evaluation is I'm working on, why is this not hyperlinking for me? Okay, I might have to copy and paste it. I'm working on becoming a KWU approved trainer, and in order to get that achieved, you have to have a certain number of good evaluations from teaching classes. So it would really, just selfishly, it would help me with that. And it would be unfortunate if anyone gave me that. Oh my God. This is not a threat. I feel like I should get that tattooed on me. This is not a threat.
Can I turn off the record right now?
No. All right, so I'll walk you through how to do this real quick. It is, you'll choose your region. We are New England. Choose Ignite session 5. And then you'll need to, for the instructors, my name isn't on there yet because I'm still building this. You have to scroll to the bottom of that list of instructors and type my name. And my name is right here on my little screen. So if you guys don't mind, that would be awesome. Really help me out a lot. All right.
Did you say the event type is at KWRI virtual? Is that the event type we're doing right now?
I'm sorry, say that again.
I'm sorry. So for the link that you want us to fill out when it asked me the event type, so is it a market center joined virtually, or is it
it's option 4. It's for my
option 4
joined virtually.
Alrighty.
Great question. And yes, New England. All right, so ahas. What have you guys learned? What are you going to implement? What actions are you going to take? And also we can clear out any last lingering questions. Jason.
I'll give my big aha. I've been thinking a lot about this, is where and how can I become a leader in my community? And I'm already involved, but how can I become more involved just to be top of mind?
I love that. So is that something you're going to take action on, is figuring that out and making some changes?
I find that weekly I have been, like, I just found a new church and I was just at a rehearsal at our chorale rehearsal on Wednesday, and they're looking for people to be on to become more active in their organization. And I'm looking for, and there are other things I'm working on too, and that I have been, because my journey, because I'm so new, is, of course, I'm just learning as much as I can, having conversations, talking to as many people as I can, wherever I go, but also looking for ways that I can, bring value kind of outside of what I do as a realtor, and where can I kind of give myself, just to, and really, I guess it's, in the back of my mind, I want to get, I know that, giving, but I know that giving is what really gets. So I'm looking at what can I give myself away and become involved in things that I'm passionate about, just to become, that agent who's top of mind. But, but not just because I'm an agent, but because I'm involved in other things, helping other people do other things that they're trying to achieve as well.
Yeah. I think that's great. So it's a mindset shift and it's taking slightly different action and being more involved. So awesome. Thank you. Lindsay, hi.
Hi. So an aha for me is, so I've been an agent for a while and I am from eEdge, the platform that Command has replaced, and eEdge was clunky to me, so I went to an outside resource. So getting back into Command has been a little challenging. So for me, an aha was when Steve was talking about the $20 Facebook ad through Command, linking it to a branding page, to my landing page, and capturing the client's info. I've been doing Facebook ads for a long time around my listings and my open houses, but I'm not lead capturing. So for me, it was a big aha to tune into that Marty Miller 66-day challenge so that I can really embrace Command.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. That's a good one. That's it. That's going to be it seems like a subtle shift, but that'll make a huge difference.
No, that's a huge shift. That's not subtle.
Okay, you're right. That's a huge
Because
shift.
she's going to find out that she's going to save money.
Yes.
And earn money too, because she's going to get leads that she can work with.
Absolutely. All right. Who else has an aha? Who else would like to share?
If I can just point out, there are companies out there that have talked about, hey, we set up lead, what is it, the landing station, all this stuff. And a very amazing agent I know named Lindsay White said, we should check into Command because I think like they might offer a lot of that stuff. So here's my motivation to get on this. So if Lindsay can do it, I can do it. Let's go.
So it sounds like maybe you guys could be accountability partners, you two. No, they're both shaking their head.
Well, what they don't know is I'm teaching the class on Monday, so I'm going to follow up with all of them.
Nice. Nice. Steve, can you do me a favor? Oh, never mind. You just did it. I had someone message me asking for your name. Awesome. 2 minutes left. One more aha. Or Steve, anything last you want to add?
Just, I'm looking forward to seeing you all on Monday. I'll make sure that the electricity does not go off again, so I don't black out for 5 minutes. And I put my name, my email address, and my phone number in the chat. Feel free to get a hold of me if you have a question on something.
I'm going to do the same thing. That's a good idea.
Steve, for your email address, I see the stevedeangelis.com.
Oh, sorry, that's my website. It's stevedeangelis@kw.com.
Hey, on a serious note, the idea of that accountability partner, it really does need to be somebody that you don't have. Let's say like, it's a lot easier if it's somebody that can say, hey, David, do this thing. And I'm gonna be like, all right, cool, you're right. So it's not necessarily going to be somebody who's like a best friend or your spouse or somebody. It needs to be somebody that you can take it and you can listen to the words and just agree with it. Like, yeah, you're right. You got me. So,
And someone that's going to follow up and push.
Yeah, exactly.
Why didn't you do that?
That's true. And I just realized just now, as you said that you two have the same last name. So probably you're married. So that would not be accountability partner. I didn't even like whoosh. Okay. So yeah, somebody you're not married to is a better accountability partner.
And don't be blaming each other because, oh, I got a call because my wife's being a pain in the butt, or my husband's being a pain in the butt. No, seriously, what you guys should do is pick someone that's in this class with you, that's not in your market center. And do script practice together, set goals together, and hold each other accountable. What are you going to do this week? How are you going to do it? Let's try this, let's try this way, let's try that way.
Yeah.
It makes a huge difference.
I'm gonna stop the recording now, and I'll keep the room open for a little bit if you guys want to send some messages and partner up.